Hi everyone, Namaste. So today we're just going to do a brief comparison between the MacBook Pro 2021 versus the MacBook Air 2014. Now the MacBook Pro is relatively a new machine that I got recently versus I had a MacBook Air which I've been using since 2014. So today I'm going to show you uh, what has changed mainly inside the boxes, uh, and of course we're going to take a look at the design of the Macs, of how different is it from each other, and of course we're just going to talk a little bit about the specification part, but I would come to that at the end of towards the end of my video as well. So now let's just get started with the MacBook Air, for which I'm just going to keep the MacBook Pro to the side at this time, the box of the Pro, and then I'll come to the MacBook Air, which is the 2014 MacBook Air. It has an Intel i5 chip and a 128 gigabits of storage. So let's get started with the unboxing, and let's have a look of what's inside the box. Okay, so as you can see there, so I've just opened the upper part of the box. So it used to come with a nice velvet texture here. It's like a sponge, so that your Mac is even more protected in terms during the transit. We have a small, a cover just to place in between the screen and the keyboard, and then we of course have the protector here of the Mac that you have to just peel it out, which is, I guess, one of the best feelings that every Mac owner or every Apple owner looks for. All right, so let's get started here. So inside this, it came with standard documentation here. It says, and I'm just gonna open this up for you guys so you can just take a look of what's inside. All right, so let's take this out now. Oh, that's the best part. Okay, I'm just gonna keep it to the side. All right, so you can see that it used to have an Apple sticker, two stickers here. Then we have like a quick start guide, and it's normally it's a bunch of information that you get here that explains what the ports are on your Mac, and of course how to fit the cable, the charger, and then how to set up your Mac, how to use the trackpad, and how you need to get familiar with the desktop as well. So you can see there's a whole lot of information here on this brochure. So there's a lot of information there. And yes, of course, on the other side as well, there, as per the Mac specific the apps, it used to tell you how to use them, and just an introduction of each app, of what they're used for. So let's just keep this aside for the moment. All right, so just to have it's a product information guide, and then of course this is a safety regulation and warranty information. There is to have the two Apple stickers, which most people love, of course. All right, so let's move on to the other part. Now, this is very special, and this is really helpful in many cases. So what it does is basically, I'm just gonna bring the Mac's charger here once, so you can see this. This is the adapter for the MacBook Air. Now this part is a detachable part, which means in case when the card's length is not enough for you to plug in your Mac, let's say you have a plug at a distance which is fairly not where which is not sufficient for your Mac to be charged from. So probably what you can do is take off this part. This, you can just slide it up this way, and then you just put this extender on, which has got a connector to it. So you can see here, I'm just gonna open this. So this is it. So you slide this up, you slide this in here, and then you're all set. You've got an approximately close to a 2 or 3 meters of extension that you get here with this cable. Just really beneficial at times when you don't have, the charging points very close to you. So that's all at this point. So I'm just gonna keep this box away, and I'm just gonna come back and we're gonna take a look at the inside of the MacBook Pro. All right, so we're back with the MacBook Pro, and as you can see from the box, it is slightly, it is a bit smaller than the box of the MacBook Air in general. Now this is a new Gen Macbook Pro, which is the 2021 model, which comes with a M1 Apple Silicon SoC. We're gonna just unbox this part. So we're gonna take a look of what's inside the box and what do we get inside as well. And then we'll jump on to the systems and we'll just take a comparison and take a look at both of them, and we'll see what has changed in them. All right, so here we are uh, with the MacBook Pro 2021's box, and then we can see here it's a protector for your MacBook Pro. For the first time, you have to, just have to uh, remove that plastic, and then we have this is my invoice. Of course, we don't have to really look at it. That's okay. And then we have a small, it's a cloth with just it's just been laid between the screen and the keyboard. Now we have here, we just have the USB Type-C cable, and then we have some standard documentation here, which will just come to that, and then we have the power brick or the power adapter. That's all it has inside the box, so we don't get any form of the extension cables or anything, unlike in the MacBook Air 2014. And also we don't get any the soft finishing or sort of cushion that we get on the MacBook Air 2014. All right, so let's just take a look of what's there inside the box, and then we'll just come to the actual systems. All right, so I'm gonna just take it out. Okay, that's all. So we just have a quick start guide here, as you can see, but it's fairly, it's very limited, so it does not really explain of what's there. Uh, and each step that you need to follow or you need to understand. So it's pretty much the Apple hopes that users are familiar with most of the things. They just want the users to get started of how do you start your Mac for the first time, and then it's just an assumption that as you keep on using, you get to know your machine and the systems well and get familiarized of how to use it to the best extent. So we just have a welcome, and then it just tells like what are the peripherals or the parts or the components that's fitted onto the Mac. And so we have a FaceTime HD camera, and then we have the dock here, and then of course it highlights that there's a touch bar on this model because it's a new Gen MacBook Pro, and it also has a Touch ID power button, which means you did not have to press your password or enter your password every time. If you set up the Touch ID, you can simply place your finger on that button and the Mac unlocks for you. It's pretty blazingly fast as usual, so there's no complaint about it. Now I'm just going to show you the actual charger of how it looks like on the MacBook Pro 2021. So you see this, it's just it's an USB-C connected to this power brick, and then you have a USB Type-C connector on the other hand, which is plugged in to your MacBook Pro's USB-C port. That's all. So I'm just gonna keep this aside now. So we'll just have the two laptops, and we'll just take a look of what's there in both of them. All right, so let's get started and just have a look at the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro when they're kept to their sides. So here we have the MacBook Air, and here we have the MacBook Pro. the 2014, the 2021, Intel i5 with 128 GB of storage. This has an Apple M1, which is the Silicon SoC, and has a 512 gigabits of RAM. Both of them have a 13-inch screen. But so let's just take a look now. So this is how it opens, how it looks when the lid is opened. So of course there are some changes here. You see on the MacBook here we don't get any sort of touch bar or anything, and fairly the trackpad is comparatively smaller. But here we get the touch bar. So let me just give my so here's the Touch ID here. So I press this up and this just opens. It has a touch bar, as you can see here, so it's basically specific to to the app or the thing that you're doing on your MacBook Pro, so it keeps on changing with every activity that you do. So probably now we just have the it's just the home screen on the desktop. So we go to this, and probably I'll just say we'll just launch the calculator. So now we will see that the touch bar changes. We have some mathematical operators here, so you can see that. We have a percentile, and then we have a plus minus and a decimal, so it just keeps on changing based on what you're doing at this point of time, which we don't have on the MacBook Air. And also the trackpad is comparatively, it's larger if you see on the MacBook Pro 2021. Now let's get back to the displays of how they look and what's increased, what's the advance. Now we see here, you see, in the MacBook Air, it's comparatively on a brighter side of the colors, so the saturation is not very deep on the reds and the blues and the other colors. However, you can see very well on the MacBook Pro of how rich the color is. So you can see the yellows here versus the yellows here. So there is a difference, as I can see here. I'm not sure whether the camera is able to justify that, but there's a difference of how the colors, the color reproduction is. And of course the MacBook Pro 2021 comes with a true tone display, which means that it adjusts to your lighting conditions, and then it gives you the best color saturation at that point of time. So if you're in outdoors, it not just adjusts your brightness, but the true tone also helps you to balance your color levels as well. That's the advantage of the true tone, which we don't get on the 2014 MacBook Air. That's the difference here. So let's just take a look on the body of each of the Macs. We'll start with the MacBook Pro, and you can see that it's moreover has a kind of a squarish edge here on the sides, and it's kind of uniform as it keeps on moving to the other side. Now here we have the two USB Type-C ports to connect your power source and some other peripherals, in case if you wish to plug in a regular USB drive like your pen drive or something, then of course you need to purchase a hub. And on the other side we get a 3.5 mm audio jack to plug in your headphones and things like that. And now this button right here, it is the power button, so you can press it as well as you can just tap your finger, and which would act as a Touch ID as well. So that's embedded into a single button. Now coming to the MacBook Air, we see that the edge is quite, it's kind of slopey, so it's kind of increased here, but as you come down here gradually it gets symmetrical with the body, so there's no thickness or the width here at all, but I would say there's a variation of the width as compared to here versus here, so there's a change. Now that's all. And then we have on the MacBook Air This is a 2014 model, so we used to get a lightning connector there. And then it's like I would say it's like a MagSafe, which you don't have to really put your, cable in. You just have to bring it here, and it has got the magnets which attaches the cable to the socket. Then we have a USB port here for your regular pen drives, and then a 3.5 mm jack. And it's coming to the other side. You have a mini SD card slot, and then we have one more USB port and a Thunderbolt port. Now, just coming to the top portion here. So let's just see what we get here over as well. Now, the MacBook Air 2014 has the Apple logo, which illuminates when you when you start up your Mac. So this gets adjusted as per the brightness of your screen. So the more the brightness of your screen, the more the logo illuminates. However, on the newer MacBook Pro, we don't have the the Apple logo, and it's fairly a small Apple logo as well as compared to the MacBook Air. Now, just closing down the lids, and we'll see how they look from the sides. So here we go. It's kind of, it gets pretty much symmetric to the base with the lid, so there is not much of a difference here or any specific design that's highlighting uh, some uniqueness about the body. So it's pretty much, it's a straight cut uh, design here. However, if you see the MacBook Air, you can see gradually how this lid is, how this body has been, the width has got reduced, and when the lid falls down, it basically matches up with that. So it barely, I mean, you can barely see that there is width towards the front. So this is all about it. Now, just to add on that the MacBook Pro also has a new feature that Apple has introduced, so which means when your MacBook is shut down and your lid is closed, like what I have done right now. But what happens is when you lift the lid of your Mac, with an intent to reboot it, so the Mac, you really don't have to press your power button. As soon as you lift this lid up, the Mac automatically boots up. Unfortunately, there is no way for this to disable or deactivate. It's an inbuilt feature, so Apple does not recommend you to use any other shortcuts to do that. That could void or cause damage to your Mac's system as well, to the software. So I hope you liked the video. So if you have any questions or you want to ask anything, please drop down a comment on the comment section below, and I'll see to respond them as soon as possible. If you have a question, please share. Please subscribe and share this video with your friends and everyone to get an insight and to understand between the Macs. And with that, thank you very much for watching, and Jai Hind.